And good evening. Welcome to the Deltahead stream. I am, excuse me, make sure the microphone works. Cool, yes, I am James Howell. And yeah, tonight we're going to return to Elden Ring. I am playing this enough that it's kind of like right in my head, right in my brain. So it's probably the thing I'm going to be most articulate about in terms of a game currently. So yeah, it's the way to go. And I'm also honestly, the thought of kind of taking on another full game as a project, kind of like a live play critical project, is a little daunting. So I'm going to keep on keeping on with this. And maybe once Elden Ring gets exhausted in 5 months or something, I'll finally be able to get onto Ghostwire Tokyo, which I'm super excited finally released. I'm looking forward to getting. And it just happens to come at a really unfortunate time that the game that I'm incredibly hooked on is also in motion. So let me see if I can pull that closer. I had a bit of water mishap here. Heavy rains in Seattle again, and this place does not play nicely with that element. So I had some water coming in, had to rearrange some things, and so the streaming setup is a little different. I'm trying to still get used to some of the facets of it, features of it. But yeah, for a pre-game show, let's see. It's actually been a bigger week for doing things and reading things than what feels like normal. Continuing piece by piece to work on Andrea Falconeri's Il Primo Libro, bunch of Renaissance music that he's got in one folio. What's this one called that I'm working on? Brando di Abril Tipla A3. And if somebody pronounces Italian, they will surely best me on that. But this is these are my notes as I write it out. There's a cat chomping on that one as I write it out, and this is today's work. You can see that there, which is a problem that I've been kind of working on in the back of my head in terms of how to fill space in between two notes that were fairly dead, and there's a second voice in the song that can kind of be brought up into that. Kind of solved that, and I feel good about that, and the rest of today's victory is just getting the next notes on my own hand-drafted copy, and some days that's the gain you're happy with. So that's quite good. And let's see, this, which I received for Christmas, continuing to read through and reread through, actually, Zen and the Art of Guitar, which is a lovely volume and has much that applies to both music and other endeavors as well, specifically when it gets to the section on jamming and working with groups in a kind of collaborative, creative energy effort. And I got this in the mail, which I'm very excited about. I did a search for Perpetua Discordia. Perpetua Discordia is it's a principle in old Greco-Roman naturalism that describes a relationship that is in perpetual conflict and that will never resolve. The specific example of that are elephants and dragons, which if you look into that, you will find that elephants and dragons have eternal animosity toward each other. They will never forgive, they will never forget, and by God, someone's going down. And to the extent that they both resent each other, they also abhor each other. So they invite combat, they repel each other. Anyway, so I was looking into this to try to remember a little bit more of this than was coming to mind, and this came up: Principia Discordia by Malaclips the Younger, and this is a kind of sort of postmodern, quasi-religious tract that is religious is probably the wrong word. Metaphysical. It's fairly chaotic, and has a touch of quality 60s 70s conspiracy theory thrown in, and yeah, I'm very eager to jump into this. It's fascinating stuff. Penned by Omar Khayyam Ravenhurst. And Omar Khayyam, I assume, is if not a tribute to the author of the Rubaiyat by the author, then a tribute to the author of the Rubaiyat by his parents. And the big thing this week, I have I binged all of the Lone Wolf and Cub movies, the 70s ones, some time ago, and decided to sort of jump on and see what the original manga source is like. So I have the great fortune of finding the 1987 translations by who is this? First Publishing, one of these very early groups that are bringing Japanese media material into an English language audience, and it's got introductions here by Frank Miller in there, and it's really interesting because there are several words that are now fairly common, especially among people who would sort of be, your direct target audience for this sort of thing. Words like Ronin and Sake and yeah, actually those are two, and tofu. These are words that at the time of this printing are obscure enough to merit footnotes, and so it's a really neat snapshot of a cultural moment in terms of this material, Japanese media's penetration into sort of casual Western and probably primarily for this publication American circulation. So that's neat. But the thing that I want to bring up, which is one of the reasons why I am hooked on this, because the paneling style in this manga is fantastic, and I actually have a very hard time getting into manga. I find much of the style a little more frenetic, and it's a little. It demands a lot, I find, and I can make exceptions for that with things like Otomo's Akira and other things like that. But I can sit down with the volume of Akira at 11 p.m. and be awake at 3 a.m. because it's so stimulating, it's so active and busy. So it's kind of a deliberate choice to sort of jump into one of these things. But this is why I'm into Lone Wolf and Cub, and let me pull up this. There we go. So, it uses filmic transitions in its panels in a way that is particularly fascinating. I'm going to give you an illustration of what that means here. So, in this instance, this is Ito Ogami. Ito Ogami is the main character, and he is having a fever dream. He is passed out in a temple, and these are the nightmares that he's having. It's sort of a hellscape, rivers of the dead, fires, etc. And there, as the mist, and one might assume the spume of blood, sort of clears out, he finds demons bearing down on him through this ether. And he fights them, he battles them, it's a noble effort, but his sword breaks, he's completely defenseless, they mock him clearly as they're about to destroy him. And then this scene fades, the demonic here fades into the daily, and you find that these are maybe little Wizard of Oz like. These are versions of the banal, the normal, the ordinary on the outside of the temple. And so Ogami awakens and sort of checks his head, and he's like, I have to go find my son. And so he picks up his sword, but he's still very sick. So he falls on his sword, not in the Roman sense, but in the sense as you see here. And then this bottom panel is fascinating. It's fascinating because you see his silhouette, almost ghostly, ethereal, but still slightly substantial as the background changes. And, that structure that you're seeing there at the very bottom, that hut, that almost looks rendered there in the background. It's as if it's being pulled, as if he's being pulled away in spirit. But then it doesn't follow through on that. It is not an out-of-body experience for him. It is actually a full-on change in scene and location for this story and the story that it's telling. And I want to zoom in on those panels in particular because I flip back and forth between these things for like 10 minutes, just my mind being blown at how effective this is at creating a sort of a dreamlike state and a dreamlike transition in a story that itself is not, it's not Lynchian, it's not Silent Hill, it's not that sort of dreamlike experience, but it includes that as a way of binding the stories of the father and the son together. So here, there he is. He's fallen down. He's propping himself up on his sword in its sheath, and then it cuts to the what's the word I'm looking for? Farm, natural, countryside, that's it. The countryside scene as he is sort of ghostly, and then it goes straight into these very, again, very normal particulars. And if you were to approach this scene right here, like this right here, just this panel, as the terminal point, the end point of, well, let's go back, the end point of this, you would assume that maybe he's teleporting, maybe he is dreaming this, maybe he is entering into some other state. There is something ghostly about him because he is still substantial, and he still has a proportionality. He's still proportionate to the new setting, and so you might assume that there's something something about him that is transforming, but that's not what's followed through on. What's followed through on is this, and if you were to assume that this image here is the starting point, just ignore that this exists at all. If this image right here is the starting point of whatever this is, you know, you've got a scene that is very far out. You've got a tree there, you've got a house in the background, and so one might assume that there is a zoom in on the particular of this branch, and then it zooms in on a particular of the house. And so this shot right here, there's something mysterious about a ghostly figure being there. Is this some haunting? But clearly that ghostly figure is secondary to whatever the narrative is here. And the fact that those two things are overlapped with each other, and there is not the kind of very clear, explicit meaning that that this is his dream or that he teleports or something, but that is simply a transition that is made. That is fascinating to me. That is fascinating. That is a great. That is an awesome storytelling approach using something which is filmic, because if you look at, I mean, I assume that if you view this as a filmic influence, this is just a fade transition, right? This is where you have one scene, it fades out, another scene fades on top, which we've seen a million times, and that influence, that visualization, I highly suspect that this probably would not exist as a panel if that film technique didn't exist, right? There's a reference here that we're familiar with. And yeah, so it's a technique that looks very normal in the medium that it comes from. But then when it's taken out of that medium, when it's taken out of film and it's used in a comic panel like this, it attains a completely different kind of feeling. It is using the vocabulary of one and the language of another, as a manner of speaking. And it succeeds wildly. It's very strange. It's very strange. And so yeah, so anyway, that's pregame show. That's what I've been looking at. And now we can go on to Elden Ring, which I've been playing quite a bit of. And actually, let's see. I got my chat up here. Yeah, there we go. I have evening, Frigid Mirth. It's great to see you. Yes, I agree. As maybe hinted at by the fact that I talked about it for 10 minutes. Evening, Dan. It's great to see you. Yeah, the films are quite good. The movies are quite good. I'm finding that I am drawn more to the way that the story is told in the comic format than I am to the way the story is told in the film, which is nothing to say ill of the actors or the director. It's just the sort of dynamism between snapshot moments is very compelling, I find. And yeah, it's also weird, like, having seen the movies first, I can absolutely see where they're getting all of their source material in these books. But yeah, another book that I've been hitting very hard lately is this fella right here. I got this on a recent trip to Disney, and this is my these are my Elden Ring notes, which if you can see right there, these are the notes that I keep on things that I have done in a particular session. And back here, these are this is my list of mysteries. List of mysteries, even, and it's kind of nice. I haven't really done this with a game since, I mean, Myst, maybe, is the first big memory I have of doing this, where there's a mystery that I want to go back to, but I'm focused on something else, so, you know, I will draw myself a little map of the area because it doesn't make sense to put like a marker on that map on the in-game map. It's just a little awkward for that interface. So yeah, so it's nice, and might be referring to this a little bit if I run out of places to go, people to kill. But as we are at load up, I absolutely have, excuse me, people to kill. Mirth and Dan, how are you? There we go. Oh, that's fantastic. Which platform are you playing it on? Ah, yeah. Almost everybody I know is playing it on PC, and were PS4 not the ideal platform for some life circumstances here, basically I need to be available to respond in case a baby needs me. I would be playing it on PC as well. It's just the console's a little easier to get up there, and yeah. I am unlikely to run out of things to kill, and I'm seriously considering, this would be like a year, maybe a year's long endeavor, given the time that I have to devote to the game. But I'm considering I'm trying to find everything to kill in this game and killing it, or at least giving it a good whack or two. Right now in this, I've met big security. That's what I'm calling that guy. He needs a large dark T-shirt with the word security in screen printed letters on front to let us know what's up. That's wise, I think. I myself could heed from that approach. I actually find myself using my right hand and my right wrist for more things than it likes to do. Playing banjo, playing on a controller, typing on a keyboard, and one of the costs of using this method, where I'm taking notes and stuff, is like it's handwriting, right? And I find that over the course of my whole life, I've had a death grip on a pen. And I just sort of accepted that as my norm. And now that I think it's because of some posture concerns. For a long time, I was in a place where I didn't have really a good seat. Wow, that guy's fighting for it there. And I think that probably hunching over, it's just basically you can trace a lot of hand injuries all the way up to your shoulder and sometimes down to your side. And I think that's where it lives right now. But yeah. So, I spoke with this guy, and he gave me a powerful ... And then these three adversary summon signs appear. So, the meal in front of me is to consume these three foes, Pac-Man style. Yeah, this chair, I love this chair. This chair is really good for reading. You can kind of sink back into it. It's not great for consistent usage. And a challenge that I have is that my computer setup, because I like to have occasionally I want to have all of the floor space I can in my library available to me. So my office setup is actually quite modular. I have a lot of TV tray tables that I'll put up provisionally to handle certain things. Like the microphone is on this one, the PS4 is on this one, the lamp is over there, and as soon as I'm done streaming, I'll tear all this down, put those TV trays up, and now I have my space back. This unfortunately does not result in a consistently ergonomic setup, because there are always going to be variations in between times, and unless you've got like a very fixed habit, it's going to be kind of hard to remember exactly how you put that together. Oh man, it's very entertaining. I have only fought one of these guys so far, and I died fairly quickly. So watching the battle animations of watching the battle animations of the other players here is giving me a sense of what I might be in for. But yeah, Dan, if you get in on PS4 and you jump in, hit me up. I'm happy to co-op with multiplayer. It's a lot of fun. Dustin has been helping me a couple of times on stream lately. Oh, why, thank you. I got it because it reminds me of the library chairs that I would sink into to the point of disappearing at the Aiken County Public Library when I was in high school. And it's an IKEA piece, so I'm kind of surprised that I find something that does manage to hit that level of nostalgia and be that cheap, because IKEA furniture of this style was not around then, but I guess that's probably the general aesthetic they're hitting. Alright, Knight of the Great Jar. I find it charming that they go through the whole Ooh. Wow, that's a bonk on the head, isn't it? Mirth, I think that's a fascinating point, and I mean, even just okay, just like if you cross your eyes, right, and you can see one image overlapping on top of another. Ooh, that makes me sick. Hold on. Oh man, whenever I get motion sick, it just immediately makes me have to burp. But yeah, if you cross your eyes and overlap images like that, you can get that sort of transparency fading effect. So I mean, it's right there, built into our anatomy. every kid on a school ground in a school ground can do it. I wish you the best of luck with it. Whoa, no! I am trying to do some at-home. Yeah, praise my message. Make me feel pretty. I have never actually just run past these guys before, so I'm about to see how real of a strategy this is. Oh, Nelly. That's... Did he kill himself? Actually don't want to fight you, but that's awesome. He completely kicked his own knees out from underneath him. Alright, are you gonna forget that I'm here? I am... what level am I? I'm level... leave me alone, dude! Not you, it's him. I'm level 67 at 112 hours. I've spent a lot of my time enjoying the landscape and feeling the wonder. But I don't think this guy is going to let me get away with... Although, what if you tried shooting me and I'm in front of the big man here? Alright, maybe I gotta be here and then you'll shoot. Okay. Maybe I'm actually, if I'm here, maybe I'm above how high up he can aim. Oh man, I wonder if I could use him to hit my adversaries. That'd be something. All right. That is what we're gonna do. Oh, wait, what? Okay, a barrier has appeared that is preventing... Oh! Alright, so he has my build... Actually, that's a different sword than mine. Has he got a better katana than I do? Level 67 notwithstanding, clearly I put a lot of time into this. I'll show you the map for exactly how far I've explored. I am like 112 hours into this game. I started out at Samurai class, which I guess kind of overlaps nicely with the Lone Wolf and Cub interest. And I have not found another katana anywhere. I found another Uchi-katana, which now lives in my left hand, while my primary Uchi-katana lives in the right. Yeah, I have not found another katana that I can really kind of amplify the bleed effect on with. Not on. I read somewhere recently that Miyazaki is a very big Oblivion fan, and he really liked that game. And so I've been saying every time it comes up that this is like a Dark Souls Breath of the Wild, I have absolutely been saying that that is wrong. This is a Dark Souls Elder Scrolls game. Oh man, was that my horse? Wait, what did he... Oh my gosh. Yeah, just running through these landscapes, collecting craftable ingredients and stuff like that, and it feels so much like Oblivion. Even the Caelid Wilds here feel like many of the lands that you enter through the Oblivion gates. Oh wow, these builds really are randomized. Although I wonder if these are other players. Please be dumb. Thank you. Same, Dan. That was I loved Oblivion, and I got it on PS3. It was the first like real PS3 game that I owned that wasn't like a Qbert or something, but from PSN. But yeah, Oblivion. I played a lot of that, and I had a very good friend at the time who played it on PC, and she was like, "Wait, no, you've been playing Oblivion for over 100 hours, and you have not been using mods?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what's the deal?" And then she told me about the very popular balancing mod that is out for that game. That shows up in most Elder Scrolls games pre-ESO. And I was like gobsmacked because, you know, I've been collecting bolts of cloth from every single barrel to no end, thinking that it was all adding up to something, but no, that's just a very unimaginative item to show up regularly. I started out as Strength Faith. So kind of like the story behind my guy here is You know, he wandered in from the land of reeds, and he's got the sort of samurai background, and he's adjusting by pieces to what it takes to survive in this new land. He is accepting different armor. He is accepting the use of faith magic, but the thing that keeps him feeling like himself is the use of katanas and bleeding as his MO. So that's kind of his story, and I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing with the faith, because I'm using a lot of fire magic, and I've been going through the beast Garak, is that his name? The beast clergy. I've been going through his quest as part of my guy's sort of deal, but I'm kind of losing the thread on exactly where I'm thinking that the faith build is going. Dude! Ah! What the hell? That is amazing. Oh, thank God. No, 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 no! Oh my God. Ah, oh, she must have had like 1 HP left. Oh man, if I had stuck on her, I would have won that. But I thought that she was dead. I thought that she was going through her you know, oh, I can't believe I've been killed, slump to knees, fall over animation. Instead, she was summoning a dragon, which I've never seen before. That's kind of awesome. Something that is very good about this is being able to see these very developed builds and armor sets on NPCs. Gives me something to strive for, because I'm seeing some of these NPCs use some very strong bleeding swords, which is where I'm going in my life here. Bleeding is particularly good because I find that it has helped me more often than not when I am invaded. Because humans are susceptible to it. Yep. Alright. Can I avoid it if I come over here? How? Did I get hit with both of them at the same time? I did get hit with both of them at the same time. Well, that'll do it. Won't it? I don't think these are other players who are invading. I wondered... Did you play Demon's Souls, Dan? Yeah, I am, because my guy wants to stay katana focused. Dex is what I'm building up. The Beast path is particularly good for the way that I've grown him, because it gives me a faith incantation casting charm that scales by faith and strength. So if I increase strength, then my magic power gets stronger. and that's pretty cool. Okay. If you are planning on playing Demon's Souls, I will not spoil this, but there's something that I wonder if the thing that is happening here is like... That would be the other... Oh, no, no, no! Heal! Ooh-wee. But it's a pretty cool moment, so if you're planning on playing Demon's Souls, I won't spoil it for you. The hell is this? Oh wow, this guy's got some health. Ah! That is a hell of a mask. What is... Oh yeah, it's a mask, okay. What if I call on some help to deal with this? I might just do that. The way that I'm playing through this, I'm in it for the wonder and majesty and the weirdness. I'm not necessarily in it for the bragging rights of, you know, beating every boss with my bare fists kind of thing, or even with a moderately good skill set. I'm actually more interested in seeing more things than I am in conquering all the challenges solo. So I'm pretty happy to call in some help. There we go. And if this time doesn't take, I've got a little more exploring to do that'll be a little more interesting than me problem solving how to overcome a challenge which is probably above my level. Going. Ah, thought that was a summon sign for support. Sadly, no. What the hell are you shooting at? Okay, there we go. Now you're shooting at me. So imposing. Okay. This is the same guy. He was a pretty easy kill. Dude, no! Get out of the corner! No, 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 no! wow, one-shotted me. Okay. I'm probably going to have to come back with some better equipment. Because I'm going to need to come back with some better equipment. Because I'm a little too lazy to learn how to beat that on skill alone. Oh, that's awesome. I love that guy's outfit. Very court jester. So, where I found this place, I arrived at it by going underground. And I am underground because I'm searching for something, some kind of fallen star, whose nature I'm not 100% clear on, and honestly I'm not 100% certain this is the right way to access it. But I'm embracing the mystery, because even if I do not accomplish my intended goal, my task completion goal, I will have accomplished my broader goal, which is to explore and have a good time. I wonder how sick this would make me. Seems not very. Ah, it's gorgeous. Whoop. Well, I will not be jumping down there. Yeah, the elevator moments are awesome. Especially the very first time I came through here. And just saw how... I don't even know what I'm looking at. I mean, I have a hint, but there is at least 1 to 2 more elements that I cannot account for that that make this a really wonderful place. So, okay. I want to find out what this is. Oh, hey, a summoning pool. I don't know what the material is, but I do like the birds. And I also really like that there are birds in this underground space. Somewhat improbably. Oh, the archers here are just bastards. Okay. I'm definitely going to need to kill this guy if I'm going to make it over there. So let's see if his friends will go away so that my treachery is not... I do too. Oh man, I came across... Ah, crud. There we go. I love this giant arrow sticking out of me like a Metal Gear Solid 3 injury. Like after the fear or something. Oh, whiffed. There we go. Whew. Yeah, I came across one of these guys sitting in a circle of those kind of jackalope-looking creatures. They kind of hop like rabbits. They've got large, spiky, fluffy tails. Anyway, there was a circle of them, and one of the Tauren guys was in the middle of them and was like throwing out seed. And he was feeding them. I had to rush past and get his attention, but I made sure to slay all of the Taurens who were killing me, who were chasing me, except him. Because I'm like, you know what? I'm sure you all have hearts of gold, but he's the one whose heart of gold I saw. Well, I mean, honestly, that would be kind of a great melee weapon, right? uh, one of these like giant arrows that that some of the enemies fire at you. That would be great. Um, Ancestor. I've been using the dogs. I've got the dogs pretty well leveled up. Let's see. I've got a bunch of them, but I've only used the Lone Wolf Ashes because they're my good boys. Next up on the list, these guys down here. I'm actually really curious to know a little more about how they fight. But you know, to date, it's just I love my dogs. What the hell is that? Oh, that's one of the torches that I lit. So yeah, the one of the things that you're supposed to be doing. There we go. In this area, there are these sort of like obelisks that have torches on them, and you need to light, I think, 10 of them at the let's see, down kind of around here. Yeah. So right around here, there is. Where is it? You. Yes, that's right here. So there's a little bridge that you cross, and it's flanked on both sides with these obelisks. And then there's a dead creature over here, or a creature that looks ferocious and is not moving, and has little animated bits that are just sort of drifting in the wind. Clearly, it is meant to come alive. And as you go through this overall area, you find these obelisks around. You have to light their fires, and when you do, one of the obelisks here correspondingly lights up. So, as a gamer inferring things, pretty sure that once I find all the obelisks in this area, light them all up, I will be able to fight this boss, and that is that's what I'm doing. My hope has been to fully upgrade the dogs. Actually, I need to go back and check with the spirit tuner and see what she's got for me, if I can start moving up there with them, because I like them. The thing that I like about the dogs is the dogs do one of the things that is most useful about having a compatriot. So many of the bosses and enemies in this game, you really can take advantage of their AI in a major way, because they're meant to target one player. They're meant to target one character, which is one of the reasons that they're so ferocious as an offline battle. But when you have somebody else there, if you can kind of pincher attack them, you can really just take them down very, very quickly. And the dogs are good because they draw an enemy's attention. And is that a? Oh, that's another goat. And I like that. Though now that I'm saying it out loud, I guess there's nothing to say that the other ones don't do the same. Can I get down there? I mean, no, I don't think I'm gonna survive that fall. That seems like a bad idea. But I also like the I like animal familiars. Having had a very dear animal that is I had a good familiar relationship to. This wacky couple. Always showing up in weird places. Wait, what? No, I think you just put no liar. I think you just put liar ahead automatically. Because this fella right here is dead on. There is in fact no door ahead. But yes, animal familiars. I love them. Oh man. I gotta say, if anybody needs a pat on the back, it's that person. Is that a skull up there? Well, Whatever it is, it's gone now. Wow, man, a lot of low self-esteem around here. Oh, it's just a rune arc. I mean, I can see why it's called a precious item, but it is not quite advancing me in the ways that I'm looking to grow my character. Excuse me. Oh, red-tailed hawks are gorgeous. Which region are you in? Assuming you're North America located. I associate red-tailed hawks with North America. Northern California? Okay. What is this? Melted mushroom. Aw. I was confused. See if I can scare you away from here. You can be free. There you go. Just need a good sheepdog. I'm in Seattle, so Northern California is close enough. Crossing the 520 bridge over Lake Washington. Every now and then you see bald eagles. Which makes me very happy, because I have never lived anywhere where you could see bald eagles on the regular. Excuse me. Alright, so no, I wanted to see, what is this? Oh! The thing on the map is probably these structures here. Okay. I don't think I can actually get there from here. Or can I? Oh, yeah. I want that golden seed. Let's go back and get this. This should be enough to level up the charges in my flask. Because I'm at, what am I at? I think I'm at 8 uses. No, actually 8, 9, 10, 11 uses. So this should get me 12. Oh man, getting real Anne Orlando feelings from this. Bad idea? Or good idea? Good idea, it seems. Oh, God. So, I'm kind of okay with heights in real life. Yeah. Very nice. Heights in this game in particular, really just... very uncomfortable with them. I think this is one of the things about astrology. I think even if you're agnostic toward it as like as a literal practice, there is something that resonates with the imagination and that's fun to sort of bounce your day off of. And I think you can, you don't have to set your watch by it to find it useful personally. In some, kind of take the temperature for how you feel that day. Like, well, my horoscope says X, Y, and Z about me. Do I feel that way today? And if you don't, and you're like, this is hokum, then, well, you have that much more insight into your day. Okay, I think that's everything. Excuse me. That I can get over here. Or can I? No, I definitely can't get up there. Yeah. I like how they gave you a double jump with the horse, but also made maneuverability a little sketchier. Like it's like a car; you can't just like pivot in place like you can here. It actually has to trot around to get to it, and I like that. Okay, I feel like there is quite a lot there, and maybe that's my access point. So, I'm just gonna fast travel here. Oh yeah. I love the scope in this game better than I have loved the scopes in any other Soulsborne game, because number one, you cannot walk while you are using it, and thereby mistakenly walk off a cliff if you're trying to precariously scout something. And number two, I find myself... this happened with Bloodborne consistently. And in retrospect, I don't know why it kept being a problem, but it did keep being a problem. Every time I would raise the scope, I could never figure out how to get it back down. I would press every button that seemed natural, and I would just stay looking at the world through my scope. Guess this is how I'm living my life now. Yeah. So this game, the scope in this game, definitely the kindest to whatever habits of mine were not working with that setup. Hello. I salute you too, sir. Is he very, very, very slowly walking over here so he can slap me in the face? I think he might be. Oh, now this is just rude, sir. Oh, did not quaff that drink fast enough. Evening, Gerbil. It is in fact a giant enemy crab. You are correct. Good evening. It's good to see you. How are you? You know, this Soulsborne, this iteration of that kind of game, with any of the other games, if I'm just sort of dying in an area and kind of screwing around, I kind of feel like maybe I'm not using my time the best way I could. But with this one, I really do feel like even screwing around has its rewards. Wow. That is a faster reflex than I imagined. Oh, that's... There. Why is it always crab eggs? Crab eggs. It's always crab eggs. I don't know what the hell these things are. But every time I come across one, it just zaps me. And that's it, I'm done. Okay. So... I've been through here. I can't get up there. Whoa. Holy crap, look how big this place is. Oh wait, no. This is the... No, I actually think there's more over here. That's wild. Aww. Some Elden Ring dogs right here. Hello, sir. I am here to acknowledge your greatness. Is that... torch over there? I don't know. But I'm going to head over there. I watched Napoleon Dynamite for the first time this week, and that is a winner of a movie. I am interested in the fact that the things that I think are really great about it are not the things that I see most often celebrated about it. I mean, the idiosyncrasies of the main character are, of course, very charming and memorable, but that movie has got some just amazing comedy in it. It's like, so one of the working definitions for comedy that I have is comedy is what happens when things go very wrong. And, hey, case in point, I should use my shield. Please, just let me hit you once, then we're good. And that movie's got so many great examples of that happening. There's this one scene where Napoleon and his friend has a bike, and you know, the thing that gets remembered is Napoleon saying, can you do any sweet tricks, and in kind of the very innocent way that he does. The thing that strikes me is the fact that he tries to do a trick on it after, you know, his friend kind of like goes off a ramp, and then very, 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 very uneventfully just kind of hits the ground in a normal way on a bike, as if you were hopping a curve. And then Napoleon does it, and as soon as he hits the ramp, everything falls apart, and he falls on the ground, and it is this colossal, just everything goes to hell right away. And that's one of the funniest things I can think of. And it just cuts, hard cut right there to the next scene. No follow-up. The entire point of that scene was because everything went wrong, disastrously wrong in a second. And that's a movie whose funny bone is akin to mine. Yes, there are not many movies now that I see that actually get that out of me, and Napoleon Dynamite did. Which of course isn't to say that, you know, those idiosyncrasies, you know, the characters' quirks and things like that are not worth remembering the movie by as like as the highlight. Oh, hi. What the heck was that? But I am just impressed by the fact that there's actually more to the movie than that, and had I not seen it, I wouldn't have known that based on kind of how it is remembered. It's very interesting to me that y'all both watched this when you were younger. I remember Napoleon Dynamite being very much in... it was one of those movies at the time that kind of like Austin Powers or... what would be another one? I guess Matrix is not a comedy, but it's kind of in the same category of things. It's one of these movies that, in order to participate socially in certain circles, you basically have to have watched, because you're not going to get in the majority of their references. It's very interesting to me that it once had that status, and now I think many people would be hard-pressed to remember it. I was talking with somebody about, what was it, what's the TV show? I never watched it. It had Sheldon in it. Third Rock? Something. Big Boss. Big Bang Theory, that's it. That's another show that just sort of dominated so many conversations with its references and the like, and I hardly hear anything of it anymore. It's amazing how just the squirrel mind of pop culture goes from one thing to the next. Big Bang Theory. There's a coffee shop around here that has Napoleon Dynamite stickers up front that you can buy, and at first, I mean, you know, because I lived through a time when that was very normal, it did not occur to me that that's what I get for reading. Did not occur to me that it now might be a ironic nostalgia throwback thing to sell. Now, from what I saw, that it was not my humor either. I was encouraged by many to watch it for reasons that I'm not totally sure, because I don't see the relation. I don't see the similarity. I've been likened by more than one person to Sheldon, and every time I look at that, I'm like, I don't see myself at all in that. I have my priorities, that's for sure, but it was a very, very, very unusual thing to hear myself compared to. And honestly, with Big Bang Theory's passing, the fact that I don't get that much anymore is actually a source of relief to me. Kind of how when Gilligan's Island stopped being part of sort of like the common cultural landscape, I stopped getting Gilligan's Island jokes when people found out that my last name is Howell. And I honestly can't say that I missed that either. Oh, that's fine. I mean, the thing is, they meant it well. So this is none of these observations came from anybody who would have wanted in any sense to make fun of me or insult me. So I don't think that. So yeah, they were always meant well. It's just the sort of thing that when somebody compares you to a fictional character and you don't understand that connection, it does make you go like, what about me do you? Who do you think I am? Why do you think I'm like that? What is this? Oh, that's something I already picked. Oh, I'm only missing one obelisk. Oh. The best I could figure is idiosyncrasy. Personal idiosyncrasy. But, oh man, everyone's got that. Did I activate this? I did activate this. So here, more of that beastly vitality. Oh yeah, that's the way that came up. Because along with Sheldon, Napoleon from Napoleon Dynamite is a character that, again, folks who genuinely love me have compared me to fondly, and I didn't quite get that. But with Napoleon, I understand that a little bit better. He's not necessarily in mannerism, but he's got a worldview that jives with me. Just got to do what's in your heart. And not worry too much about what that looks like. Oh, hey, there's something over there. Wow. Oh, that's a crab. I was like, wow, that's a really big turtle. Oh, hold on a second. I've got a cat who wants in. Hey, you? Coming in? Here you go. Ah. About resurrecting who? Oh, hey, there's another sending gate. Where this one is actually a different location than the one I've got marked on my map. Hold on. Good. Add that on here. So zoom out a bit. Too far. And that. Alright, I've got that part down. Zoom in. And another one here. So if you want to see what I'm seeing, this is my map. And I found a second sending gate, so got that done. Oh, resurrecting the guy on the bridge, right? Literally the thing we were looking at. No, you're exactly right. In fact, I literally said that exact same thing. I just forgot. So that's fine. But where is the last one? Oh, these are always... Well, there is one area that I didn't explore as much as I could have, which is kind of over here. Maybe I'll do that. Hey, kiddo. Oh dear, no. Oh, this is bad. Alright, good. Okay. So, yeah, so those, what do you do? Ah! The, yeah, between that arrow and those orbs, which will absolutely murder me in 2 hits, that is a bad place to be. There's the spirit spring here. You, sir, are correct. Boink. Even though riding a horse, so much of this game is optimized landscape-wise for doing that, I still really enjoy the slow burn of going on foot, which might explain why I'm level 67 at 120 hours. I might be taking this game literally at half the speed that that it's designed for. Well, Dan, thank you very much for coming out. It's always a pleasure, and I hope you have a good night's sleep. Oh. Oh, that's somebody. I see a little bit of motion there. You have an idle pose? Okay. That doesn't seem like a good idea. Well. Whew. All right. Kiddo, what are you doing? Come on. Oh, come here, Agent of Chaos. Is this what you want? What do you want? What are you doing? This cat's the attention needs of this cat are many and confusing. Oh. Ah? Oh, well, that's nice. Maybe that's where one of my sending gates gets me. Oh, God, just looking over this edge makes me want to throw up. Excuse me. Oh wow, this really goes down, doesn't it? It's interesting. The polygon count seems to be getting noticeably chunkier and fewer. Or maybe this is my way back. Oh, I think that might be it. I think this might be my way back. Can I make that fall? I bet so. Oof. Feels like maybe I shouldn't have. But I did. Dwelling arrow. Oh, those are the things that the those guys are firing at me. Alright, is there a middle place to jump to? I do not see it, so I'm going to assume... Gotta horse it up here. Yep. Cool. Oh, I definitely explored that. What? Somebody's shooting at me. Got that one. Just gonna keep on sneaking. Yes, it kind of makes me think of, you know, how if you were to, I don't know, in Greece or very old Italy or even the Mediterranean, travel distance that to us, with modern sense of the compactness of distance and how easily we can travel, would seem to us to be a very small distance. You would encounter maybe more belief systems than you would traveling 10 times that much now. Although, of course, many of them would overlap because of cultural exchange. That you would encounter. Oh, is this? This is it. That's gonna kill me if it sees me. that yeah, basically many different folk religions would be within a fairly short distance of each other. Um, hmm. All right. This seems like it's going to not work, but I'm going to try it. Um, Dude, no! Okay. Oh, wow, it exhausts itself after firing enough times. That's cool. Alright. I can go fight that thing. Oh, that's really cool. One of the things that I think makes that work is what makes a lot of the mystery in this game work is how vague and unspecified so many things are. They leave things just on that edge of that tantalizing poetic edge that lets you fill in the blanks as well as you can without committing to anything. And yeah, it manages to get the mystery of a belief system into the experience without, you know, hard coding a belief system onto anything. And I think that's a great creative achievement. Because yeah, one of the things that I really do dig about the Taurens is how I believe I caught them doing this at a minor Erd tree above ground. These guys down here are sort of kind of a little more spectral versions of that. Every species in this game, every humanoid species seems to have a spectral version that shows up at some point. But in their spectral versions, as well as in their above ground versions, you catch them sort of staring off into the distance and doing this sort of stamping in place, and it's very hypnotic and very kind of, it teases the mystery of what they're about. But that's an instance, to your point, excuse me, of giving this sort of like very visually distinct group of humanoids something that is clearly enough of a belief system. Oh, that's where it is. Enough of a belief system to show off rituals around it, and I think that's very neat. All right, we're gonna get the hell away from there. Alright, let's rest at a grace point, charge up, and then go see what the heck that thing is. The hell? Just sitting in the grace, so shot me in the back. Oh man, that's great. Like, it's the only time that's ever happened. I've never been attacked at a grace point, but maybe the arrow or something was fired as I was sitting down, and it happened to connect after the recharge happened. That was great. Gerbil, it's great to see you. I hope to be making Sundays a little more regular of a stream night. Still trying to kind of figure out what works with life now. But once a week is still the target. But anyway, I hope to see you again soon. Have a good night. Alright, let's try that again. Alright. Nobody's shooting me in the back. That's great. Oh yeah. Bang. Do I have a sacred tier? I do not. That still feels like a pretty good ratio for the amount of magic that I use. Let's see, what time is it? Alright, cool. I'm doing A-okay. Oh, there you... Aww. I didn't see you there. But I'm going to, she's, that's where she is, in case you can't see. But she's kind of chilling out now, so I'm going to leave well enough alone. I'm actually down here, as part of what I think Rani's questline is. I got some kind of, I got a quest prompt from her to find some sort of fallen star, and to search underground, and in Limgrave, and I'm like, well, this is underground in Limgrave, so I'm kind of solving mysteries and hoping that I make it in that direction. But like I said, even if I'm not right, I'm still going to get something from investigating, and that's pretty cool. Oh, there's something. We're not going to be friends anymore, are we? The hell? Whoa. I don't quite have the equip load to be able to carry a torch and my 2 katanas. Oh, wow. Looks like a lot of Tauren dead down here. And a lot of fungus growing on their bones. Oh, wow. That statue's seen better times. That's Venus de Milo quality. There we go. Can we be friends? So it's gonna... No. That's not how this is gonna work out, is it? Whoa! Might be leveled beyond what this fight wants of me. Ah, come on, walk into it. There we go. Oh! This is where I get the ancestral follower ashes. Which I'm guessing is what you were... I think that's what you were referring to before, right? Mirth? Cool. Let's, do... You guys take 5. Let's see how this plays. Let's see... What's my map look like? Okay, I am in a nowhere space out here. Can I pull up my horse? I cannot pull up my horse. I am moving through on foot. Is there a little thing that takes me back over here? You know, I often wonder if... I appreciate that. I often wonder if they withhold showing some of these messages when you step into one of these places to sort of preserve the majesty of it. Because I've noticed every time I enter into a place, many times when I enter into a place, bloodstains and messages won't show up. And I appreciate that because I kind of like taking in the atmosphere myself. Conversely, I've noticed that in many boss fights, maybe it's just because this is when I notice it, but messages don't appear on the ground until I beat the boss. There we go. That's better. Well, you're not wrong. I don't know what that's in reference to. That is correct. That I've noticed that as well. I wondered if I've got my PS4 right now is working off a wireless connection because I don't have the sort of the wired connections going out to the places where they're needed just yet. Oh, hello, what is this? Oh, that's another message. Yeah, likely. So I didn't know if that was just like a kind of like lag on my system, but if you experience that as well, maybe it's just it's a universal delay. Well, maybe if I make a straight run... Oh, there we go. Okay, it looks like there is nothing else here. Thank you. You sure did. Indeed. Coming up. Go on, kiddo. Yo, come here. Yep. Yep. Please consider putting your own effort into this task. Alright, good. Oh. Well. Could have seen that coming. So, alright. Let's go back. Oh wow, those are a lot of overlapping bloodstains. A lot of people must not have made it very far out of the gate. You know, it's weird. She is. I mean, one of her. You know, every cat has a name that that you tell a vet what's your cat called, and then there are like the 5 or 6 other names that you actually call your cat. And little cat is one of hers. Is it over here? Because she is actually not that big compared to the biggest animal in the house. So, I forget to appreciate her actual size in isolation. Oh, that's really cool. Is that true with any group password? That when something good happens to a member in that group, it happens to all? Oh, wow, that's awesome. Come on, kiddo. The answer is no to the computer. In fine cat fashion, this one knows exactly the parts of the room to go to where she is not wanted, and the things to swat at that will get her the most attention for the wrong reasons. Well, I've cleared that. Excuse me. I guess I'm gonna go take a look at my sending gate. There's one kind of up right over here. Oh, but you know what? I'm gonna restock my stuff first. Oh, hold on. Yes. Come on. Cat finally did the forbidden thing, which is try and jump on the computer. I will grant her a very long leash until she does that. I need to find some groups to join. That's a fascinating extra dimension to the gameplay. Oh, how many? Okay. I stand to lose a fair number of runes. What level are you at, Mirth? I think you might have mentioned, but I've forgotten. Wait a minute. This is the other sending gate that I marked on my map. These things are just connected. see. Level 97. The cost of leveling up is becoming significantly higher now. I was they do lull you into a false sense of quick growth early on with I think the first 5 levels were like dirt cheap to grow through. Yeah, they just go back and forth between each other. What the heck? Maybe that's so I don't have to go through all this. I don't know. But well, what else is there to do here? Going into this building seems like an option, so maybe I can check out over here. Where? There we go. Yeah, I have beaten three of the 5 or 6 kind of dudes that you have to kill to progress. And the game is pretty direct at this point about where my next kind of like where my next step is. Oh, okay, I gotta go down there. I've just been trying to follow up on so many subquests that I have not actually been interested in advancing that yet. Ah, Jesus. Caught me off guard. Alright. There. Lord. I did fight Radon. Maybe I should say I started the fight with Radon and drew a lot of his fire while a cooperator actually did the damage. My strategy consisted of being bait while I summoned a lot of NPCs and had a human cooperator helping me out. Hey. But that got me the win, and that is as valid a way of making it forward as any. Did I? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I've already been here, it seems. I followed one of the death paintings to a spot near Radon's boss area, and I didn't know what to expect, but what I found was maybe here? What I found was an enemy that is massively stronger. No, Oh. Now it's coming together. So yeah, I saw the star falling cutscene, and didn't put together that that was the same star that Ronnie is talking about. which is what I'm actually looking for right now. So... let's pop out of here. Yeah, thank you for helping me put that together. I think I'm so used to the Souls games being so loose on their narrative that something that is directly given to me seems like a red herring. When in fact it is just what's true. Okay, let's go up. You know, I would have thought if you just described the asymmetrical multiplayer in this game to me, my instinct would be that it would feel like a bunch of graffiti, and that it would feel like a lot of clutter, but it doesn't feel that way, and I'm glad it doesn't, because I enjoy I enjoy feeling like there are other people doing the same thing, or doing their version of it. Ugh, can't look down. But I did not actually see where the star landed. I saw the cutscene of the star streaking across the sky. So I missed whatever hint that is. And I'm sure it wouldn't be on my map. Excuse me, it doesn't make sense that it would be. I've beaten that one. Thank you. Thanks, Mirth. It's great to see you as always. I hope you have a great week, and I hope to see you soon. Have a good night. No, that guy's trucking it. He's really on his way somewhere. Oh, wow. I am well leveled past these guys. Oh, right, those are the martyrs. Well, I'm guessing that all of these particles in the air, if indeed this is where the meteor struck or thereabouts, would be some sort of debris from that. Let's see, is there anything down here? That's the Forest Lookout Tower. Headway. And just poking around on foot. Okay, I don't see it there. So many things in ruins, it's hard to tell what the new damage is and what isn't. What can I see from up here? Hell? Well, that rock business is new. So I'm guessing that the rocks that are held in stasis in midair might have something to do with what I'm looking for. That's not what I want. That's what I want. No. Oh, no. All right. Good. That didn't turn out as badly as it might have. Bonk. I'm fascinated that all of these zombies appear to be the remains of the aristocracy. What the hell? I'm definitely going to say that's it. Because I don't remember that being there before. Let's see. Make sure I'm... So, Mistwood Ruins. Okay, so kind of over in the Mistwood area. Time to get on down there. Although maybe not like that. Oh, interesting. The those machines have armor design with hands coming out and cradling a child, similar to the way the twinned armor here has hands coming out to cradle a human figure. That's interesting. Oh, it's slowly spinning. Holy cow. Well, Rowdy did say to go underground, so this would be my summons to action. Can I survive this fall? Yes, I can. Hoo 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 hoo. Okay, this puts me back up here. Huh. Oh man, that's a lot of runes to lose if I fall down there and die. But I guess I can just go back to my spot and get it. Yeah, what time are we at? It's like 11:30. All right, take a jump off this and see where it goes, and call it a night. Wait. That over there looks like that's my target. Alright, maybe there's another way to get over there. That doesn't involve jumping down an abyss that doesn't have a clear bottom. Woohoo! Fall off that edge there. Okay. Alright, I see signs of signs. Alright, this seems promising. Okay. Can't really tell how far down things are. Whew. You know what? Sure. Okay. Let's see. Out of my messages, I think I've got a here in there. Do I? I do not. Must have used to. Wow, there's a whole city underground, which, I mean, I guess I shouldn't be that surprised by, considering the area I just left, but nonetheless, I am impressed. Having found this place makes me very glad that I did not take the advice of a random stranger telling me to jump off into the unknown. Well, almost. Just back here. Is there a grace point? Is that what that light indicates? Seems not. Whoa. Oh, this has put me back underground. Okay. So I bet this is how I accessed that those castly parts that that I couldn't find entrance to. All right, so my instinct wasn't 100% wrong. It was just have to enter from a different place. Yep, everybody's stopping to think twice. About jumping over this thing. What the world is that? Sludge. Moving sludge stuff. Alright, cool. I appreciate the caretaking sentiment. Yes, sir. What a neat design these guys have. Oh wow, look at those blood spots. Oh, well that would be where they come from, isn't it? Woohoo! Gotcha. My God. Yeah, bloodstain indeed. Let's see, what does this look like here? Okay, good. Shank trying to run away. Got Shank trying to fight. Got shanked. Got caught rolling, got shanked. Got shanked while healing, and then running in a circle. My God. The body count here is staggering. Maybe I can throw a fireball at it. Ah. Oh, I can't auto-target. Okay. I would have thought they were only going to be susceptible to elemental magic or something. But no. There we go. If I could just find a grace point, I am pretty near being able to use all these runes to level up. Goodbye. Oh, whoa. That's just sludge. That's not an empty window. Nope. Ooh. I don't believe you at all. Okay, so this is my way forward. How did all of you die? Okay, probably trying to run through the things that I just killed. Yeah, that sounds right. Is that... Yep. That's my elevator to the surface. Ridiculous. The heck are those? See if there's a grace up here. The dynamic between these two. So lonely. I want to go home, lay down and pout. And then this guy here, still no confidence. And just accusing. That's beautiful. I wish more of those things still told stories like that, rather than, you know, liar ahead. Case in point. Oh, good! I need one of those. Actually, I need 3 more of those. I can really start to get one of my weapons in better shape. Where is the right place to fall? Actually, how did you guys fare? Okay. You did make it down there. You landed okay. And then you... Whoops. Alright, so this tells me what I need to know. Oh my god. It's terrifying. Gruesome and agile. Oh, no, 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 wrong heel. Wrong heel. Alright, you know what? Screw this. Whew. Alright. Very good. Let's kill these guys. What in the world did I get from that? Oh wow, I got a total refill on all my stuff. That's awesome. You know what? I can earn that pretty soon. But this is a good place for me to call it a night. Thank you everybody for coming out. Mirth and Gerbil and Dan, it's always a pleasure. And yeah, for anybody who catches this on the archive, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good night. I'm going to try to make Sundays a little more of a regular time, since Saturdays aren't quite working out. I'm still trying to figure out what works and what makes sense. So, thank you very much. Have a good night.